go, Jim. He's dead.
Hello and welcome to Improv Autopsy. I'm your host, Stephen Cadwell. Thank you for participating in these improv origin stories with me. In this episode, I had the pleasure to speak with Janine Phan, who was and is a member of Dear Aunt Gertrude and Got Jokes Improv in Tampa, and Labia Majora, which performs in and around Chicago from time to time. She's also a stand-up comic, but earns her living as a licensed clinical professional counselor with a degree to match. She's a kind and gracious person and has a mischievous antagonism with the audience that may run contrary to any first impression you may have of her. She is extraordinarily comfortable on stage, and if you decide to share the stage with her, you need to recognize that it is her stage in all the best ways. As with others in her profession, I don't think you'd peg her for a counselor if you saw her, and like the others, she's more likely to be unapologetically blunt or a contrarian when on stage. As a performer, she brings a wealth of knowledge and experience which she skillfully wields. Perhaps another trait of improvisers who are also counselors, therapists, or otherwise work in the mental health field. In fact, I need to talk to more of you, so reach out if you fit that description. I want to interview you. In the meantime, please enjoy Janine Phan's Improv Autopsy. Now, you're not currently performing anywhere, correct?
Currently, I'm in an improvised group. It's called Labia Majora.
Oh, great.
Yeah, we perform here and there. So we have our jobs, and then we get together once in a while, and we'll do a show at IO or some random theater.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I was under the impression that maybe you weren't doing it at all, but I love that you are.
I'm trying to. The last time was actually over a year ago, so that's kind of how often I'm doing it.
Yeah, life does get in the way sometimes, and it is just improv, so.
It's never just improv, but yeah, it's just improv.
Do you remember what your first encounter with improv was?
Yeah, it was early 2000s. I was living in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I remember always really liking Whose Line Is It, and just wanting to get into that and being told that I think quickly on my feet and stuff. So I signed up for this class at the local civic theater called Impromptu Play Action, and I loved it. So that's kind of when I decided, yeah, I want to keep doing this.
And were you able to connect anywhere in Grand Rapids? I know that now there's a theater there, but there wasn't in the 2000s.
No, I actually left Michigan not too long after that, moved to Tampa.
Okay.
And then I found my people.
Did you happen upon it, or did you look for it?
Well, when I first got to Florida, it wasn't top of mind because I was trying to find a job because I like to move without a job. But then I was getting into volunteering for film festivals, and I met someone that kind of turned me towards this one acting workshop. And through that, I started doing that, and I met improvisers that had a group together called Got Jokes, and they were like, come audition. And then I auditioned, and I got in that. So that's kind of how it started in Tampa.
Oh, excellent. So Got Jokes was a Tampa group?
Yeah, they're still around.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, they've won Best of the Bay quite a few times.
Oh, nice.
I'm still technically in it, but I haven't performed with them in probably 12 years.
You're just collecting improv group memberships at this point.
Yeah, I'm never going to be out.
I was not connected, really, but I knew some people that were in. Larry was in the group.
Larry Bacovi?
Probably. I forget his last name. Bait.
Oh.
Bay Area Improv Troupe, I think is what they were.
Okay.
That was Tampa Bay. They weren't on your radar?
No.
Okay.
Maybe vaguely familiar.
Were there any other groups in the area that you're aware of?
Well, Dear Aunt Gertrude, of course.
Yeah.
Trying to think in the Tampa area. I know Odd Man Out was one of the ones. I think that might have just been the three of them from our class. Yeah, I can't remember the names of any, but I feel like, I went to the Sarasota Improv Festival before with everybody from Dear Aunt Gertrude, and there was quite a few groups there, but the names of them I cannot remember.
Yeah. I just didn't know. I didn't know there were any other troops in the area other than Bait and Dear Aunt Gertrude, so I was excited that there was another and that they're still around.
Mm-hmm.
So you auditioned and got in, so you probably don't know the origins of the name, although that seems pretty self-explanatory, I guess.
Got Jokes?
For Got Jokes, yeah, replacing the Got Milk with Got Jokes seems to be, that'd be my guess.
That's what I figured. I never actually asked, I don't think.
You said you connected in an acting class. Do you remember your first improv class?
I think so. One of the classmates in the workshop, he taught an improv class. So I went to that. His name was Ricky Wayne.
But you say improv had clicked for you even before that, though, right?
Yeah.
So you were in. Did you go through levels of class, or was it more auditioning and playing with groups that your kind of arc?
In Tampa, it was more just playing with other people. And it wasn't until I moved to Chicago that I did training, like actual training for improv.
Yeah. Do you remember your first show?
First show ever?
First improv show? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm 43. I don't remember things anymore. I was just thinking this the other day. I'm like, I used to remember things like way more vividly. Yeah, I think Got Jokes was first, and then Doing It Gertrude. So it was probably a show. I remember I jumped right into it, and they had a show at a place called the Kennedy in South Tampa,
Okay.
and it was a very memorable show.
For good reasons?
It must not have been the first one because someone in the parking lot actually saw me and yelled out one of the lines that I had said in the previous show,
Okay.
and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm famous!" So that could have been the first one. Gosh, it's funny that I don't remember. I remember where we practiced at this boba house out in North Tampa. But first show, I don't know exactly.
What was memorable about the one that you do remember?
The funny thing is, I was walking into it and someone yelled, "Sue me!" Because in the previous show, I had said, "Sue me." Or someone had said, "So sue me." And I said, "Sue me's my cousin," which was true, but then they remembered that. It was memorable because the place that we were performing, it was really cool. It was like a nightclub, but it was like, it felt very VIP. And the person bartending was someone that I had dated when I was like in high school. And it was funny because I was like, haha, I'm a performer and you're just the lowly bartender. Not that I look down on bartenders because I was one at the time, but it was kind of just memorable because of that. I was like pretty excited to be, they had a spotlight and everything. It felt very legit.
Now, did you grow up in Michigan then or in Florida?
I grew up in Michigan.
Okay, so you were connecting with someone you knew from Michigan in Tampa.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be, I mean, the odds aren't great. They're not nil, but
Yeah, we connected by way of like, I just said Red Bull and vodka and he said, "Here you go." I didn't say anything else.
yeah. Encounter is probably a better word. You encountered somebody you knew from.
Yeah, I encountered, yes.
Do you remember anything from any of those shows in terms of performance, that things that really stuck with you because they went really well or didn't go so well and you can laugh at them now?
Yeah, there were quite a few. It was short form. There were quite a few games that they would play, and I knew I was kind of jumping into like a pretty well established group in Tampa. I feel like they're kind of well known, I think. And they play this game where it was like called HBO. I think that was one of the nicknames of it's one of the nicknames of one of the performers. But it's basically just kind of, there's a question and then we kind of come up and give one word answers. It's like I like my coffee like I like my women, and then we just go through saying certain things. So
Sure.
that was memorable because I'm good at things that are more structured where I don't have to come up with it, which is funny for improv, right? But that was like kind of like getting my feet wet with them because I still get nervous.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I remember being like, yeah, just I get nervous when I'm excited, and sometimes I look back and I'm like, why was I so freaked out? I would feel like I had to have a drink beforehand, and now I'm like, it's just funny to think about.
There are moments when I still have that nervous energy. I think I just channel it differently than when I was first starting, so it doesn't bother me as much, but it's still there.
Yeah, you know where to put it now.
Yeah, I think so. You were in Tampa and you were with Got Jokes, and then eventually got connected with Dear Aunt Gertrude.
Mm-hmm.
And they were also predominantly short form shows, but you did festivals, so did you do some long form with them as well?
I didn't perform in the festivals. I was just there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there were times when I would kind of float in and out. I'm kind of an improv floater, if you couldn't tell. So long form I didn't really do until I started training at IO.
Okay. The form that you all do now, is it pretty akin to a herald, or have you something else?
We have done things that are more like Harold-esque, but I think we stick to just shorter, more short form stuff.
Oh, okay. Even with your group right now in Chicago?
Yeah,
Oh, that's great.
because sometimes it's just two of us.
Okay.
Depends on how many people are available.
Yeah. I know you said you haven't done it in about a year, but where did you perform the last show that you did?
It was at the Bug House Theater,
Okay.
and it was with, I believe, four other players that I'd never played with before. And there was a moment when I was on the side of the stage feeling so like a wallflower, feeling so out of practice. I was like, man, I miss this. I don't feel like I used to feel. And I remember getting in the scene and being so awkward and being like, well, I'm doing it, like while I was doing it. But I had invited someone to the show and they couldn't make it. And I remember being glad that they couldn't make it.
Oh.
I was like, I'm a little rusty.
Did you know they weren't there when you were performing?
Yeah.
Okay. Would it have been worse had they been there?
Gosh, I don't know how it could have been worse, but yeah, maybe.
So in your improv journey or experience, what would you say is the most shocking thing you've seen or done on stage?
Ooh. It's funny that I think of this as shocking, but I won a competition that was at the Chemically Imbalanced Theater here. One of my former IO teachers had a thing called Blender. I think it was Sunday nights, and it was kind of just like an improviser, like kind of it's like a bracket or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they had like kind of set it up where we would compete against each other, like almost like a roast battle, but it was improv, and I won that. And I won like a rubber bat and some fake vampire teeth, and I was so excited. I was like, this is weird and crazy. And because my main character that day I chose was like based on the singer or the rapper Riff Raff.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's crazy, but it stands out in my mind.
Yeah, that works. And do you still have the bat and the teeth?
Probably somewhere, but I don't know. But I treasure them in my mind.
Yeah, yeah. To say memorable but not meaningful. I don't know.
Yeah,
At least the tokens.
I lose everything, so.
Do you remember any near misses or anything that when you were afraid something could go sideways but didn't, or maybe it did?
Yeah, there was prior to the show a year ago, I had done a show like 7 months before that, and it was just with one other person that I had played with before, but not just her and I. So it was in the top floor of a bar, and I had invited some friends, but those friends invited other friends, and they were really drunk. And I remember we asked for suggestion, and I hear Jonas Brothers, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know who that is. One of my friend's friends. And I remember thinking this could go terribly. This could go just weird. And I was like, don't think that way. And the show ended up being really fun. I ended up, my most memorable character from that was playing a cockroach named Derek. So things turned around.
Yeah.
But then the friends got kicked out because they fell down the stairs and they were being ridiculous. So this is one of those times.
They got kicked out before the show was over?
I think towards the end of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is Derek one of the lesser known Jonas Brothers? Is that how that relates?
I don't think he's a Jonas brother at all. I don't know how we got to Derek's or the cockroach from that, but I'm sure it was meaningful.
Yes. Yeah. I love that your character wasn't somebody blank Jonas. Derek the Cockroach sounds like someone I'd like to have coffee with.
Yeah, same.
Can you remember the first time you really clicked with with a scene partner?
It's funny because I should mention, like, I'm a therapist now, and so my brain has to like shift to like remembering when my life was like less about feelings and more about feelings.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. Like feelings in a different context. Gosh, I clicked with so many people in my first class at IO because I first went to Annoyance, and that was really awesome. I met cool people there, but I felt like at IO, the first level of the classes I took there, like the whole class, we clicked with each other, like everybody. It was really special. I'm trying to think if there's any one person.
Were you able to stick with them much through the levels, or did you sort of get kind of just mixed in with the rest, and so you weren't able to find that again with a class?
There were a lot of people that kind of, we were all kind of sticking through the same classes. We would kind of coordinate it so we'd end up in the same classes. So there were quite a few I ended up finishing out the 5B shows with.
And you felt good about your 5Bs?
Yeah, I did.
Kayla's 5B class, they were tremendous in terms of they had all that. They really just clicked, and they were, I always thought it was a tragedy that they weren't just taken as a class and made into a Herald team, because there were some maybe technically things that wasn't super great technically, but as a group, they had really coalesced and were having so much fun, and they were so much fun to watch. And that's kind of one of the tragedies to me of the Herald committee, is that sometimes they didn't pay attention to that kind of thing. I don't know what they were looking for, but they weren't looking at the mix and seeing that, like your group, if that was really clicking and everyone was really on board with each other, that can really become something, not just someone who's super funny or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. I'm remembering now my very last, I think 5B ended up being a class where I just had maybe one person from my initial class. Like it started to get less and less throughout the levels.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I remember, I feel like I try to click with everybody. I try, I'm like, let's be best friends. But I remember feeling really comfortable with them, wishing that I was able to be with my first initial class the whole way through.
Yeah.
And I know life happens, but yeah, I feel like that would have been pretty magical.
Yeah, it is. I feel like improv is the most magical when you're with people that you really click with like that.
Yeah, the chemistry and having each other's back in like super unique ways.
Yeah. Do you find that you use anything that you've learned in improv in your day job when you're a therapist?
Oh, definitely. I think probably the yes and a lot, because people will say but, and I'm like, well, can both things be true? And then I'm like, oh, improv. I know there's a ton more too.
Yeah, one of the people that I first connected with, that was at SAC when I was going up through the levels, was also he was a family therapist, I believe. So I just was intrigued. I don't know how many of you there are that are doing both therapy and improv.
I wonder.
Yeah, there are more than two, or there are at least two.
I want to meet that person.
He hasn't been in the mix at SAC for a while, but he's still down there.
Oh man, we all fall off. I don't like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to connect with him to interview him, so I'll see if it happens.
Okay, cool.
Have you witnessed any fails on stage?
I mean, yeah, I'm sure I have.
Any that stick in your mind?
I was just gonna say, like that one where I felt like I was a wallflower. That was a big fail.
Yeah.
But as I was doing it, I was like trying to give myself some grace, but also like, whoa, this is a real stinker.
Was it just the disconnect with the other players, do you think?
I could tell that they all knew each other better
Yeah.
and kind of spoke the same language in certain ways. And then I think I was just thinking too much. And then, do I jump in here? Do I jump in here? And timing. Yeah, I was thinking too much. It was in my head, which is not what it should do with improv.
Yeah, that was it. A huge part of my Chicago experience was being in my head a lot. And I think it's also even harder when you're with people that know each other versus just with strangers, because then you're a third wheel versus everyone sort of
Yeah.
being third wheels. Yeah.
It's a different vibe, like when you do a drop-in class as opposed to that one. I think I felt like there were some inside jokes that weren't like too insider, but it made me feel a little bit like more shaky,
Yeah.
which obviously wasn't their fault, but just something, yeah, I definitely noticed.
Being someone who is done quite a bit of short form, which is also my experience. I've probably done more short form than long form, but are there any particular audience interactions that stick in your mind, or even from the long form that you've done too? It's not limited to short form, but any awkward audience moments other than your friends falling down the stairs?
I know there's been a few times where if I've done a show where you're pretty much right next to the audience, like ground level, and the lights are all on everyone and you can see everyone, I'll like look at people
Yeah.
and then forget what I was saying, and then sometimes it makes it funnier. I would say, yeah, but I've said things that are kind of like morbid. I think, yeah, just finding my voice through improv.
Give me an example of something morbid if you can. Is it you just have sort of a dark sense of humor,
Yeah.
or yeah,
Like I remember in the 5B shows we were doing something and I was trying to do a lot of scene work, and someone was talking about doing sculptures and stuff, and then I mentioned like, I don't know if you're familiar with the band Tool. But I mentioned like making clay sculptures of babies and then making them do weird things like in Tool videos. And then like, I don't know, it just kind of went in this really dark space. And I was just like, maybe we should call Jeffrey Dahmer. And I don't know, it was just like, I think it was just like, I wanted people to follow me there, and they kind of like didn't know what to do with it.
yeah.
Neither did I.
And what made it really awkward was because it was a Christmas show.
Yeah, it was about baby Jesus. And I was like, let's make him into clay and destroy him. And they were like,
Something about it, improv also brings out kind of a dark sense of humor in me sometimes too. I can do things, and I did have someone say once, "Wow, that was really dark." And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Was it too dark?" I don't remember what it was, but I did start a scene once insinuating that my grandmother had just died, and that's why the stool next to me was empty. I had to double down on that too because it did not get the reaction that I thought it would initially. But I was like, "Oh, I made my bed. I got to lie in it."
what direction did you want it to go into? What reaction did you want?
I just thought that it would get kind of a chuckle or whatever, and then I could move on. But the audience just was staring at me.
Too serious?
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's too much too soon. And I didn't have them on my side yet. So, I was kind of tearing up, and I was mentioning it was for a game. I don't know if you've done Lost Musical. So I was just setting up what the performers were going to then sing. I was setting up the scenes that the performers were going to perform via a musical on stage. So I was setting up like, yeah, this is a public access thing or whatever, and welcome to Grandma and me. Grandma couldn't be here because she's no longer with us. And I was getting a little emotional about it, and then the audience was just kind of staring at me. I was like, I thought this was going to be funny.
I can see that happening.
Yeah. I think between me and the actors on stage, we won them over by the end. But at the beginning, I was like, oh, not the right foot to start on.
You know what's funny about that is like, I've done stand-up too before. I don't know if you have.
I did one open mic, and that's it.
Yeah, not for you?
Yeah, I haven't gone that way again.
Yeah, I think what you're mentioning is something I like to do. I like to be so apropos of nothing and just start out and kind of make people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But then it's like with improv, it's like you have to play with people, and it's sometimes hard for me to know how much more do I need to give them for them to know where I want this to go, and does that really matter?
Yeah. How do you navigate that with your stand up? Do you just like to keep them in that space or
I usually do something physical, like with my face, and like make a self-deprecating remark or something, kind of get out of it.
yeah.
Or I just stare. I just stare and say, did you not like that? Did it make you feel weird in your butt? Something like that. Some Maria Bamford-esque type things to just
Yeah.
distract.
It's one of the things about improv, live theater in general, but stand up as well, is that it's a journey that we're taking the audience on. It's okay if it's not just the same thing over and over. Just you can't be gut busting laughs every second of the set, otherwise.
Yeah, it has to be real.
Yeah. Are there any games that you particularly enjoy?
Hmm, games. Why am I drawing a blank to name any of them? Throw some out there that you like, Steven.
We would, when I was doing it more regularly, we kind of gravitated a little more toward the ones that would be a little more scenic, but I do enjoy a good expert scene. Would do like we called it replay. Two people would do a scene, two people were not in the room. One person would come in and replace one of the people, and the person that's left does the same lines they did the first time around, while the second one has to try to improvise with them, even though that they weren't there and didn't see anything.
Oh, that's fun.
And then the fourth person comes in, tags out the only person left from the original scene, and does it another time. So that one I really enjoy. Are there any, if you can't think of one that you remember that you really like, are there any that you really don't like? Or it was the same trouble?
I mean, I love warm-ups like Zip Zap Stop. Trying to think. There's one that I liked a lot. I'm coming to my memory now. It was just two-person scene, but it's like high stakes where like your motivation is like the focus of it and you stick by it like wholeheartedly, like 100%. And I remember I was digging my heels in about like, I don't want to take out my Invisalign when I eat. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just chew this with Invisalign. And it was just like ridiculous. But I remember really liking that. And then like after a while, really hating it because of the high stakes choice I made.
So it went from love to hate in one scene?
Yeah. But I've never really been good at even remembering what games we're doing. I'm just kind of like flighty. It goes and flow. But I do think the one you mentioned, I don't know if I have memories of actually doing that, but that sounds really fun.
Yeah, we enjoyed it. There's some various permutations of it. How do you feel about like moving bodies or moving people or puppets? I guess those are all the three names that I know it as.
Don't love puppets.
Yeah,
Can be really funny though, just not for me.
Kayla would, when that was called, when she was a lab rat at SAC, or when she was doing in Gen S or whatever, if that was ever called, she would make sure that she set it up so she didn't have to be in it. So
That's where me and Kayla are the same.
yeah,
That's in Orlando, right, Sac?
yeah.
Oh, I was just there. I went to Universal.
Ah,
And I always got emails from Sac Comedy Lab, but I never made the trek.
it is a bit of a hike, especially with I-4 traffic. So, and you got connected with two groups down there, so you didn't really need to make the trek.
That's true, but it always kind of lingered in my mind, like I haven't explored it there. Might that be cool?
Are you able to watch much improv? Is that something?
I haven't made an effort to do much of watching improv and comedy in general, which I'm trying to get back into. I think it's important to kind of keep that like part of me alive,
Yeah,
but it's been a long time. Honestly, when you reached out to me for this interview, I was like, do I even remember anything? Like, I want to. Like, it's a huge part of who I am. I just kind of like dove headfirst into being a therapist so much and like mental health and just like finding it hard to balance the two somehow.
yeah,
Like, I know that it doesn't just because you're a therapist doesn't mean you can't do comedy, but it's like I feel like it's taken me a long time to try to find the balance of like exerting myself in a certain way and like I just feel like you reached out at a time where I'd been thinking about it a lot more. Like I just watched that show on HBO or whatever it's called now, Max, that Pete Holmes show, Crashing,
okay.
and it started to get me really thinking about comedy again and improv. So
So you're not really doing a whole lot of stand up right now either.
no, I think the last time I did it was Zoom stand up, and I got like kicked out because the person running it felt like I was negging him or something. But that was fun. So it's been a little while.
Zoom stand up to me sounds like not a great avenue to begin with?
It was weird, but it was COVID, so I was like, I'll try it.
Okay, all right. And you went dark, and the organizer's like, nope.
Yeah, it was kind of like one of those things where I can joke, but you shouldn't joke too because I'm the host
Ah,
and you're heckling me, even though you're actually going along with the joke I'm making that's including you.
yeah, yeah. You can't be better at my joke than I am.
That's kind of what it was. I probably sound bitter, but that's what happened.
Do you think, because that stand up requires some time to sit down and write, right?
Yeah.
Do you prefer that, or is that just another outlet?
I kind of have always tried to improvise with bullet points. Like, I don't ever like,
Okay.
this is probably one of the reasons why when I was a stand up, when I was concentrating more on it, I was trying to figure out my style because I'm not someone that will ever be like polished in any way. I don't want to be. So I kind of would like write my jokes, usually write a one liner, and then try to improvise around it.
Okay.
Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't.
The internet is filled right now with people that are, I don't even think they've gone that far, that are just trying to do audience interaction stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And some pretty good, some not so good.
Yeah. I've noticed some comics build their whole career on crowd work.
Yeah. So you were ahead of the curve.
Oh, yeah. And now the world will know.
Yes. Well, I mean, you overestimate my reach.
No, you're going to be big, just like Mark Maron.
Yeah, yeah. But not as bitter.
Not as bitter, no.
Well, I'd like to switch gears maybe a little bit, and I have like a little Proustian questionnaire.
Oh, that's fun.
Janine, when you play or do stand up even, how do you get into the proper headspace to play?
I try to like shake it out, like physically, and then just kind of like lean towards the goofy because that's a huge part of who I am.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to slip into. And I love to, I'm so curious as a person. I love to watch what people are doing. So I just kind of like, I focus on what's around me and get out of my head just by like deciding to.
Nice. Now, I know you said earlier that you like Zip Zap Zop and some of those. Are you, when you're before an improv show, are you more likely to do a warm up? Do you enjoy doing warm ups, or is it more of a personal ritual sort of a thing?
I don't know. Like, I think they can be necessary to kind of just like get everyone connected and bring people together before the performance. But yeah, I think I was being sarcastic when I said I like Zip Zap Zop.
Oh, okay.
Not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just funny.
So, are there any warm ups that you do like?
I like one word at a time.
Okay.
I think that's fun. Or like just putting a story together.
Yeah. What is your favorite get for or ask?
What's something you don't like about yourself?
Nice.
Because I'll make it funny.
Do you remember any responses you may have gotten?
I remember someone yelled out, I steal too much. And I was all over that one. I was kind of a klepto as a kid.
Oh, I love that. Oh, not that you were a klepto. I love your your ask. What is your least favorite suggestion?
Oh my gosh. Jonas Brothers. Stupid. Well, not because I don't like the Jonas Brothers, just because it's just so typical of this person to yell it.
Okay, so it's more because of the individual, not because it's pop culture,
Yeah.
per se.
Yeah. I can't really remember another one that I didn't like, but
Hey, Jonas Brothers is fine.
or if someone yells out clowns, I'm gonna be like, oh God.
What do you like in a suggestion then? Is it the more philosophical or less specificity in the suggestion, or if there's a pattern?
I kind of like specificity. Specificity.
Just not clowns.
Yeah, not clowns. Like if they said clowns undergoing surgery to become lawyers, that would be fun. I mean, I can take that and run with that, but just hearing clowns just feels very lazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Yeah, lazy suggestions are not great suggestions.
And I feel like a lot of improvisers choose the laziest one they hear.
Yeah, I think it's kind of lazy to say, well, this is the first, I'm going to grab the first thing I heard. It's like, well, grab something that inspires you.
Yeah.
Do you have a way that you'll burn a suggestion that doesn't inspire you if you hear it? If someone were to shout out clowns, for example, do you have a way that you can burn that? Or
I probably just be like, hell no, clowns. Hell no.
I like it. I like it.
Or I'd probably go, something better out there? Anything better than clowns?
I mean, yeah, that's a little judgy, but I like it. I just started asking this. You're only the second person I think I've asked that particular one to, because I realized as I've been talking to people that that's I was like, oh, I need to be asking people this as well because I ask the other things, but I really want to know. And Dave Russell, who owns and used to be artistic director at SAC, I would marvel at his way of doing it because for him it would be, hey, can I get a suggestion, whatever, and someone would say clowns. He's like, yeah, just like that, just like clowns. We need something just like that.
No, that's a good one. That's good.
Yeah, it was always so slick. But I love, it's got to fit kind of with your who you are on stage as well. So speaking of, how would you describe your onstage persona? How is onstage Janine different than offstage Janine or real life Janine?
Ooh, I love this answer. It's like a sub personality of mine that I like to let shine in that space. Definitely can't bring it out in my work a lot, but it's kind of just angry stepmom, kind of like asshole person, kind of asshole-ish person.
Yeah.
That's why when I said like anything better than clowns, it's like kind of the person that is unapologetically kind of an asshole, but
Yeah.
they're fun. They're so funny you can't hate them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I've known people that definitely have that type or even antagonistic kind of stage personas that work for them and would never work for me. As you were performing, you said this is a subset of your personality, so it was just something that you enjoyed doing when you're on stage versus something that you discovered that worked for you.
Yeah, I think I just kind of fell into the irritable mom character a lot. Like the sassy homemaker. I don't know how, but in a lot of the classes I took, that just kind of was my voice. If it wasn't like the weird Asian lady who was obsessed with Golden Girls, it was irritable mom. It was one or the other, or like someone that hates clowns.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a given.
But like hates things in a funny way, not a mean way.
Yeah. How have you navigated not being pigeonholed as mom, sister, girlfriend? How has that been for you in improv?
Mm. I don't know if I've ever felt pigeonholed because I'm kind of weird. Sometimes people don't know what to do with me. I think I like it when that is nurtured somehow. I don't mind being pigeonholed.
But your stage persona wasn't in response to anything, wasn't a survival thing. It was something that you brought with you, obviously. How have you navigated the sexism in improv?
Oh, okay. I ignored it.
Okay.
And when I say ignore it, I don't mean like actually avoid it, like it's not there, but push back against it.
Uh-huh.
And I think maybe that is where part of the irritability came from. Like when I have a character, I will like sometimes ratchet up the disgustedness, and that's maybe I think in reaction to some of the sexism.
Yeah. Has that been similar in your stand-up experience, or is it different there?
I feel like there's more sexism in stand up. Overall, there's just so many comics and so many male comics that feel so entitled and love to make jokes at women's expense still. And
Yeah.
I feel like in improv, I didn't encounter that so much.
I think that's awesome, and I think that's a credit to some of the groups you've been in for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Crystal, I know, was great in that regard.
Yes, for sure.
We talked a bit about stuff, so yeah, nothing but kudos there. When you're on stage, what inspires you?
I think just playfulness itself, like the fact that we're up there to do just goofy, funny, silly stuff. We're up there to enjoy life and help people enjoy it. Like I think that's just the fact that we're doing it at all, that it's a thing.
Yeah. Other than accidentally seeing an audience member, is there anything that shuts you down or takes you out of it on stage?
So whenever I feel insecure about a topic that comes up, or if I felt like my object work was already poor, I tend to get like a little bit like negative self-talk will start happening, and I'm like, you cannot do that while you're improvising. Like, get over yourself. So that will sometimes happen where I'm like, but I don't know a lot about that. What am I going to do next? And it's like, that's not how improv works. Just do something.
Yeah. And is that conversation like in reflection afterward? How much of that is happening in real time and how much of it is just like that happens?
It's all happening in real time. That's what kicks me out of it. I'm like, so you've just been talking to yourself, and what have you been doing with your face this whole time? Are you supposed to be actually doing something?
And then you blame it on the nearest audience member and move on.
And then I just like start humping the air and going, well, that was fun. Like something stupid.
In your estimation, what makes a good scene partner?
Someone who is excited to embrace everything.
Yeah.
And someone that's smart, is well versed in a lot of different things.
Okay.
I'm saying that as I just said, like I'm not well versed in a lot of things.
Well, that's okay because that's what makes them a good scene partner.
Yeah, if they can know stuff, I don't have to. Yeah, I think just people that are cool, man. That's all. I just like cool people to be my scene partners. Like, you got a vibe I can dig.
Makes sense. Is there any advice that you would give to your younger self?
I think probably just follow your instincts and also stick with it. I think if I had been able to concentrate more on that, because I miss having rehearsals and getting together with people that just want to be silly for fun
Yeah.
and minuscule profit.
Yeah.
Because
Profit. What?
I've gotten paid for improv before, like I think $50. So that $50 means a lot. Like looking back, I think I let myself get too intimidated a lot, and it showed.
Okay. Yeah.
So I would just tell my younger self to just maybe you are an imposter, but be a good one.
I love that. That's a bumper sticker. This is partially tongue in cheek, but would any of your advice be find a job then move?
Yes, it would. It definitely would because even though I would move places without jobs, I would even quit jobs in the place I moved without having another one.
Yeah.
That was 20-year-old, 20 something me. Yeah, that's advice. I was following my heart. I was like, I'm going to just concentrate on acting, not this desk job. And then I was like, oh, but the means to do the acting, I need that. Oh, yeah. And you can do both. Oh, yeah. So just like very idealistic
Yeah.
ways of doing things. I would be a little bit more practical now.
It is difficult though because it is like, oh, this is just in the way of that other thing, and if this weren't here, that other thing could really grow, and it's hard to navigate that.
Hmm.
You may have answered this somewhat already, but do you have a favorite type of character to play?
Yeah, I think my favorite type of character is insufferable or someone that just doesn't realize how disruptive their personality is.
Yeah.
And when I say disruptive, I don't mean someone combative or aggressive. I just mean like, because in real life, I'm very go with the flow and very personable, and I would say the opposite of insufferable, hopefully. So playing someone like that is really cathartic.
Yeah. What would the opposite of insufferable be? Is it sufferable or is it unsufferable?
Good question. I would have to Google it. Insufferable, the opposite would be well adapted,
Okay.
maybe.
Okay, sure. If you could do a scene with anyone alive, who would it be?
Probably Nicolas Cage. Have you seen Bad Lieutenant?
Oh, I don't think I've seen Bad
You and
Lieutenant.
Kayla need to watch Bad Lieutenant.
Kayla may have seen it. Kayla has a Nick Cage pillow
Does she?
that I think one of her friends gave to her, but yeah, it's one of the sequin pillows it's just either all sequins or you do them the other way and it's Nick Cage's face.
Oh, I love that. Like one of my former classmates is actually in that movie, which is just another bonus. But there's so much in that movie that would, I mean, there's one scene where a door closes and he's behind it, and he just says the most off the wall thing, and it's like that was improvised because I totally went down a Reddit rabbit hole afterwards, and I'm pretty sure I read that was improvised, and I was like, yes, that was weird as hell.
Is it the weirdness then
Yeah,
that
definitely the weirdness.
well, if you could do a scene with anyone in the pantheon of people who are no longer living, who would it be?
Robin Williams for sure.
Yeah. Weirdness play a role there too, or just the freneticism?
Probably the freneticism
Yeah.
and a little weirdness. Just the character work, like
Yeah.
probably just be so inspiring. And I would probably be. I mean, I feel like I would be intimidated, but too excited to like get two in my head.
Yeah.
So it'd just be such an awesome experience.
I imagine with someone like him as well, you wouldn't have time necessarily to get in your head.
Right? I'd be like, what did you say? What?
Yeah. Other than Bad Lieutenant, if you could do a scene with anyone fictional, who would it be?
Let's see. My mind went to like Pootie Tang or Napoleon Dynamite's Uncle Rico or like one of the teachers from Daria. Let's see.
But not Daria.
Not Daria, no. Maybe Mr. DiMartino with the one with the eyeball gouging out of his face. I can't answer the question right now. Oh, there's so many.
Those are all good. No, no wrong answers. And
I wanted to pick a female though, so I didn't pick a female for the other two. This has to be a DEI answer.
I mean, we can go back and you can answer all of them with females now if you want.
Okay.
If you could do a scene with any living female, who would it be?
Any living female, Wanda Sykes.
Okay. Good. Some more high energy there.
Hmm.
Any dead female or female presenting?
I realize I'm not saying necessarily people that are known for being
Oh
improvisers,
no, that's fine. It's yeah.
but I think like Brittany Murphy would be really fun.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it'd be really fun.
And any fictional.
Probably Dorothy from Golden Girls.
And Dorothy was
B. Arthur.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
I have friends that will shame me for not knowing my Golden Girls, but yes.
I can't believe I'm even doing an interview with someone that doesn't know who Dorothy is. That's ridiculous. Who are you? No.
I feel like the persona you described would fit well with Dorothy. That would
Yeah.
be a. This may be not something you've experienced a lot of, but I'll ask it anyway. What would be for you the most helpful from the tech booth?
I really enjoy when people inject like a soundtrack when we're performing.
So some underscoring, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't remember Gertrude having too much tech.
No.
I was just trying to think. I that question comes from my experience at SAC because we had a lot of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had a lot of tech support kind of stuff. But good underscoring I think is really can add so much to a scene.
Yeah, I think it really helps inspire the mood and gives it more depth.
Yeah,
And while you're in the scene, just gives it more of a reason to exist and more motivation.
and it can be so supportive too because you can start to doubt a choice and then it's
Yeah,
like oh no now
exactly. No, that's
yeah
so
now we're all
important.
feeling it. Yeah.
Yeah, you just said what I really meant. Yep, that's it.
Is there anything that you would find unhelpful from the booth?
Yeah, maybe probably unnecessary like flashes of light or unhelpful. Let me think. Um, just trying to think. I don't have too much experience with like booth works as far as
Yeah.
improv. Mostly just like really bare bones. Like we have some lights
Yeah.
on. Go on that stage. That's like 4 inches off the ground.
And that's I think one of the beauties of improv is because you don't. It's definitely an addition, a bonus, but it's not nothing that needs to be there for improv to happen.
Yeah, that's what I really like about it.
Other than laughter, what is an audience sound you revel in?
I like when I hear like, ooh, like someone's like, ugh, or yikes. Or like, I like to hear a eek. What was that? It's funny.
I love it. What is the worst venue you've played in?
I just really love them all. Well, I did do stand up one time at a soul food kitchen for 2 people, but that was an improv. That was interesting.
Oh, that's okay. That's still a bad. Did you perform in a mall as well?
A mall?
Yeah. Oh no, you said you loved them all. I'm sorry, I
Oh,
misheard.
yeah, I love them all.
I thought you said I just really love them all. And
Oh, I do love them all. Are you kidding me? Like, if I could perform at a Claire's, it'd be the dream come true. Like, buy these cheap ass earrings. Now laugh. Now, this isn't the least favorite one, but like, I think Kayla might remember. We performed at a juvenile detention center,
yeah. Yep.
and I was afraid, kind of, not afraid, but just like, what are we gonna expect? And it wasn't bad. It's like I thought it was gonna be not good, but it was kind of cool.
I'm not remembering the exact moment that she's talked about offhand, but I have heard Kayla talked about that, and she's talked about a moment when it switched, where it was going really well, and suddenly became awkward. Do you have a memory of that or
Gosh,
no?
I must have blocked that out. I don't remember that.
Maybe it was when there was one of the women was playing a boyfriend or something, and because it
Oh,
was mostly guys in the audience, something along those lines.
it's kind of ringing a bell. Now I want to ask everybody. I'm gonna start
I think
a Dear Aunt Gertrude group chat after this. What
I think
happened?
she said it was toward the end, but I forget. I'll have to ask her when we're done as well.
You guys, what happened in jail? I don't remember anything. Interesting.
But she did say that that was going well until that moment. It was going really well. That's an interesting. I've never done anything like that, so that would be an interesting gig. It was juvenile detention though, right? Is that right?
I believe, yeah, they were minors.
And you were just in the cafeteria. Is that what it would be called?
I think so. Yeah, I think we're in the cafeteria, and I was like, should I be more nervous because they're young and they might bully us, or should I be glad that they're young because we'll razzle them and dazzle them?
Yeah.
And then I remember just being like, well, whatever, we'll see.
Yeah.
Just think like Johnny Cash and just perform.
Yeah. You guys were the Johnny Cash of improv.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, tell me about the stand-up set you did with for just the two people. Is it just the audience size that made that one so not great?
I was saying, like, I don't think that that was actually not great. It just was different. I'm
Okay.
trying to think of a not great one.
So how did you do that? Because I feel like we had a show running at SAC for a while when I was there. It was long form. We called it the early show, and it was late at night. And we had to actually sit down and say, okay, here is the limit. Here's the number of people that if it drops below this, we'll just cancel the show because we really there'll be more of us on stage than in the audience, and things get awkward. But there were two people there, and they're like, well, go do your set.
Well, what's funny is, so I had this person with me that I had befriended that was a videographer. And then I had gone, there was a comedian that I think he contacted me about, it was in Joliet. He's like, there's this soul food kitchen that wants to have a comic come out, and I can't make it. Can you do it? So I'm like, oh, if he doesn't want to do it, this must be something. So knowing me, I'm just super curious. I'm like, let's see what this weirdness is about. So I was like, sure. And then we get there, and like, I think it's still daylight out. And I remember there was two people on a date. They were like in their 50s. And the pay for that show was I got a free meal. So I was like, okay, cornbread up, sign me up. And then as we were waiting for more people to show up and no one came, I remember we kind of like asked them, do you want to see some stand-up? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, okay, here goes nothing. And I chose to just like do it so I could have that experience and kind of challenge myself. And I think I enjoyed it.
That's amazing.
I think I try to find something to like with every weirdness, even if I hate it.
I love that you have that mindset, though, that, oh, you know what? There's a red flags here, and that makes me more curious about what, so maybe makes me say yes harder than if there were none.
Yeah, kind of like this red flag can turn green, just you wait.
Yeah. Do you think, did the couple enjoy it as well?
I remember they laughed. I knew that for me it was an exercise in like know your audience, like bring the jokes that would actually be appropriate for this. And I hope I succeeded.
Yeah.
I do remember talking to them a lot, so it helped me with like riffing and doing a little bit of. I guess it's not a crowd if it's two people, so two people work.
You were there as well, so I've heard that two's company and three's a crowd. So
Yeah, true.
there's a crowd. I would, not that it'll ever happen, but if we knew who those people were, I would love to hear their perspective on that, because they have to have a story about it as well. This one time, whether they're still together or not, like
Yeah, that
you
would
said
be.
they were in their 50s, though. Maybe they were a couple.
Yeah, I wish I had a better memory of it. I was just looking at my like large stack of journals throughout the years, and maybe I wrote it down.
Oh, nice.
But my journals are just as haphazard as my brain, so who knows if I'll ever find it.
I feel like it was someone's best, like, 30th anniversary ever.
They'll never forget.
Yeah. Stand up just for us. It was personalized. It was amazing.
Yeah, they'll never forget the joke I made about Redbox being not about movies, but about your period. Yeah, they'll never forget that.
Yeah. Oh, can you even do that now that Redbox is gone? Is that even in your repertoire?
It's gone?
Yeah, they went under.
Is there anything to list for anymore? I guess it's not in my repertoire. Or now I'll be like, hey, kiddies, remember Redbox? Once upon a time.
Yeah, you can change it a little bit. I mean, this won't remain salient for long, but people were, because they went bankrupt and they were just leaving them there. The company, they didn't go and get any of them. So then people were just breaking into them and taking all the discs.
So they went out of business and they just were like, screw it. We're going to leave our machines here.
Yeah. Yep.
Hmm.
So I don't know if there's, fits in with your take.
There's definitely something there. Good to know.
As you're going through improv or even stand-up, what's the best note or the best words of wisdom you've received?
I'm sure that Mick Napier gave me so many nuggets. And I know I wrote a lot of them down. I'm thinking, like, be fearless, I know Susan Messing said a lot of things that really resonated with me. Like, chew your food. Like, enjoy it. Like, live in it. Like, have integrity and live the vision, like, fearlessly.
Yeah.
Like, declare what you honestly want, I think. And that's, I think, true for life, too.
Yeah.
Like, don't live in like, really engage. Don't be on the fringes. Don't be a wallflower.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like, especially for that stand-up gig for the two people, that you were, I don't know if you'd got that note before or after, but that sounds like a moment when you were definitely chewing the food and, enjoying what that moment was for what it was instead of lamenting that it wasn't something different.
Yeah, I think that was following that advice, yeah.
What is the least helpful note you've received, or if not received, the least helpful note that you can conceive of?
my mind immediately went to the fact that I'm a terrible auditioner. And I've been told, like, you did brilliant work here in class. What was that? Like, what the, who are you? I thought you, so like my least favorite note would be you suck. No, I know there's got to be some stuff that didn't sit well with me, but
I think that works. I think what was that sounds like a terrible note.
I guess like I have this teacher I was in the Second City Conservatory and feeling like I'm getting, really good with them because their guidance has been really helping me and I'm getting more brave. And they were watching the audition. They were one of the ones that, I had to impress. They were like, based on that, can't push you forward. Based on the class, I could. And I know it's not fair, but that's life. So I guess my worst advice was reality. I don't like it. It's for the birds.
Yeah, that sounds like such a cop out as well. Based on the class, well, then why don't you use all of the knowledge at your disposal and not just this really artificial situation that you've put us in?
I guess that's not how the world works sometimes.
Yeah, well, yeah. At least not the world that some people are living in.
Hmm.
Yeah, auditions are awful.
I know, I know. I tried a couple of times with that audition and just, I don't know what it is. Not good at picking the right monologues for myself. I blame it all on the audition, not just me.
The pressure's there, and that was my experience in Chicago. Is just a lot of kind of cutthroat sort of. If you're in an audition with someone else, all of the things we learn about improv about make your scene partner look good and we're all in
Hmm.
this together kind of fly out the window
Exactly.
because they want the thing, they don't want you to get the thing,
Hmm.
and it's hard to hold back that tide.
Yeah, and as a person that's like, I think just naturally generous, I even in the scenes would like be too generous and then be like, "What? That was supposed to be for me. Like, what did I just do?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Kayla was going through conservatory, they got down to the show at the end, and Norm said, "Hey, you're not in this," and she was like, because when she wrote her sketches, she wrote them for other people and was
Mm,
helping other people, and was like, "Yeah, you can be great and then get overlooked because you were doing everything right."
that's funny. Norm was the person that said, "What was that?"
Oh, was he? I can hear it in his voice now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I can see myself doing what Kayla did. Yeah. We can't do that and get ahead.
Yeah, which is probably why we're living in Niles.
And probably why I'm a therapist. Dang it. We are who we are. We can find our
Yeah,
place.
yeah, we love our lives. We love our lives.
Yeah. It just took a different turn. I mean, it was really cutthroat here, and it's not like we gave up, right? But like we
No,
played to our strengths, and that's something that will always be there. That's why I
yeah,
say like I'm always going to be. I feel like I'll always be part of Dear Aunt Gertrude and Got Jokes, just because I'm still alive.
yeah, and no one person's opinion can detract from any of those accomplishments either. It's not like
Right.
nothing has been accomplished. It's like, oh well, that one thing didn't happen, but lots of other things did. So who cares?
Yeah, and I feel as I get older, it's going to be better when I go back into it, which I do plan to do. That I'll have like a more solid head on my shoulders about like rejection and everything.
Yeah, yeah. Who cares if that one guy at Second City didn't care for what you did? Because those two people at that soul food place in Joliet loved you.
Yeah, they didn't boo me at least,
Yeah,
to my recollection.
they talk about you to this day.
They probably were walking out like, the fuck was that?
Straight to the Rolaids.
But I also don't mind that reaction. It's just when you're trying to be in conservatory, you don't want to hear it. But like overall, if someone says after they see my show or something like, "What was that?" I think that's okay.
Yeah,
Give them something to think about.
yeah. If there were an Academy Awards for everything improv, what would you be nominated for?
I guess most off the wall.
Okay.
Best use of strange facial expressions.
And if you are remembered 100 years from now for something improv related, what do you want it to be?
My butt, definitely. Um, no, I'm trying to think. Like visibly enjoying what I do.
Yeah, I like that.
Most remembered for being the best one that anyone has ever seen. That's what I want to be. The very best. I guess I just want to be remembered at all.
Yeah.
Like having a good sense of teamwork. And, yeah, being open.
Yeah, I think all those are good. I think the first one was great. The being someone who was visibly enjoyed what they were doing.
Yeah, I think that's the honest answer.
Yeah, one of my first improv teachers, one of the rules was no visible signs of pain. Even if she's like, you can hate it, but I don't want to see that you hate it.
Oh,
So I love that the opposite is a huge part, I think, of enjoyable improv is seeing and knowing that the people are enjoying what they're doing, because that can make. I remember seeing a show, I've told this story before, but saw a show in Gainesville Improv Festival where a friend of mine turned around and said, "This isn't good, right?" And I was like, "No, but we were all laughing and having so much fun because the people on stage were having so much fun together."
right. Like it doesn't always have to be good.
Yeah,
Like if you're learning from it and you're still doing it, like it can serve you somehow.
yeah.
It's fun. Calling it out, I'm just like picturing like if someone said that to me, I'd be like, turn around and don't talk to me. It is great. What do you mean it's not good? You're not
Yeah.
good. Leave. You're bringing me down, man.
It wasn't like full voice. It was just, it was just the disconnect between what we were watching and realizing, like, technically not great improv, but we were all enjoying it so much that you just got to check in and be like, I'm not crazy, right? That this is this thing that's happening is actually happening.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this isn't the best quality, but we're having a good time.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't think he was being a dick, but it's possible.
No, I hear you now. Yeah, that makes sense. I've done that before. I've been like, just to make sure we're on the right track. Like we're not excelling at improv, but we're doing fun stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we were in the audience for that one as well, so I don't know if that makes it better or worse.
Oh, I see. That's funny. Man, watching really good improv is so like it's such a magical experience. Like I remember one of my teachers at IO, Joran, he had a team. They were doing a show. I forget what they were called. I need to ask my friend, but they were so good, and you could see how tight they were with each other, like in just in life.
Yeah.
But when they would perform, it was like you just felt really inspired to want to improvise the way they did.
Yeah.
That's the goal. Like you want people to feel that way. Like man, they're really into this. They really enjoy it and love it, and they know what they're doing, and everyone's working together.
Yeah. Improv in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
That's it for this interview with Janine Phan. I'll leave some links in the show notes for more info. If you know of someone I should interview or would like to be interviewed yourself, drop me a line at improvbrain@gmail.com. If you're enjoying the show, review it wherever you're listening and help spread the word. And thanks for listening to Improv Autopsy.